on, everybody? It is Frankie here, and welcome to the 2024 NFL Week 11 predictions. Yes, I know I didn't do my regular predictions last week, but work. Had to get that work in, had to do some stuff with my job. But you know what? All that's behind me. Let's get to the NFL. Let's get to the games. So much excitement. The season, we're getting near Thanksgiving. We're getting to the good stuff. And if this hasn't been already an exciting NFL season, we're getting to the nitty gritty. We're getting to the real fun, excitement, all the playoff races, all the drama. Let's get to the predictions. Let's get to the games. Week 11 in the NFL. Let's make some picks. We start with the Thursday night game, the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are 3.5-point favorites in Philadelphia. Tough loss there for the Commanders. For a second, I thought they were going to pull it out. I especially thought when Jaden got the ball there late. I'm like, oh, here we go. Jaden's going to get the ball down the field. He's going to lead the Commanders to win. Nope, wasn't meant to be. You had the weird, fourth down of the bad spot that the Commanders had. You had the neutral zone infraction late in the game. Just nothing really went right for the Commanders there late in the game. And it was not a great Commanders game. Daniels struggled. Probably had maybe arguably his worst game as a Commander. And maybe worse is too strong, but it was a really mediocre game for him. 16 for 33, 194 yards. Credit to Pittsburgh for keeping in the pocket. He was not as accurate, when he wasn't able to, move out and scramble. So they did a good job there it's a good job by the Steelers defense. Missed on a couple big throws. There were a lot of drops in this game. Just a tough one because you really could have pulled this one off. You had a 10-point lead and you couldn't close the deal because Russell Wilson did such a great job there for Pittsburgh. Tough loss there for Washington. Philadelphia. This is a team that I had given up on a couple weeks ago. I had already written this team off and just thought they were terrible coached, and I still think they are. I just thought that there were just too many issues with this team, but they have bounced back in a big way. They've won, 5 in a row? They had a bad first half. Now, okay, it is Dallas, and Dallas is awful. And it was a bad first half. Philly should have put them away a lot earlier, but then the second half, they really stepped things up. Hurts with another great game, 2 rushing touchdowns from him. The defense forcing 5 turnovers, 4 fumbles. And some of that may have to do with Philly, but a lot of Dallas, but a lot of that has to do with just Philly's defense just really just eating Dallas up and just taking no prisoners in that game. Now, if you want to knock the Eagles, all of their wins have come against teams with sub 500 records. So this is not a stacked schedule that this team is faced against. Now, they do have some tough opponents coming up, including the Commanders. So now we're going to see how good this team is. If you've been a little bit hesitant to jump on the Eagles bandwagon, now's the time to do it. Or now's the time to see if they're for real. If you want to jump on, this is the kind of game against a really good Commanders team. And I know they lost against Pittsburgh, but they've still proven themselves to be a really talented bunch. At home, a divisional matchup. Things could get weird here, but you know what? I'm going to roll with the Eagles. I love the way Hurts has been playing as of late. And again, I know it's been subpar competition, but Hurts has been just unbelievable. Barkley, we know how great he's been for the Eagles. The defense has really stepped things up here. I think it's going to be Daniels will get his points off because I expect that he's going to bounce back after what happened to him yesterday. But I think he will deliver. But it won't be enough. Eagles defense will make a couple big plays in this game and stop Washington. So give me the Eagles minus 3.5 to win this one on Thursday night. This should be a great game. We don't usually get a lot of good Thursday night games, as we always point out, but this one should be a lot of fun. Give me the Eagles minus 3.5. The Green Bay Packers and the Bears. The Packers are 6-point favorites. Green Bay coming off a bye and a difficult loss over the Chicago Bears as Jordan Love is such he needs to stop throwing the picks, man. He is such a talented quarterback, except for all the bad picks. The pick 6 that he threw in that Lions game, terrible, awful, and disastrous. Could have, that cost him the game. They could have run out the clock. Instead, they're giving up 7 points there. It was just a sloppy game for them. Again, Green Bay coming off a bye, tough loss to Detroit. I know the conditions were bad, but they still just played very sloppy. They had 8 penalties. They had 3 drop passes. They had a terrible pick. By the way, that was at half. They finished with 10 penalties and 5 drop passes. They mishandled a bunch of snaps. Just a terrible game there for Green Bay, albeit against arguably the best team in the NFC in Detroit. Now, as for the Bears, this is the best medicine for Green Bay. If you're coming off a bad loss, and now you're coming off a bye, and now you get to take on a Chicago team that it seems like it's kind of quit. I hate to use that word, but ever since the bye, this team has gotten worse and worse and worse. Ever since the Hail Mary. That Hail Mary killed this team. They have not been the same since. They have not scored a touchdown in back-to-back games. Caleb Williams got sacked 9 times. I know that the Bears' offensive line has been beaten up. They're down 4 O-linemen, including both starting tackles, but still, he'd been sacked 18 times in 3 games, and now he's been sacked 9 times. It's an issue here. It's an issue here watching. Caleb hasn't been great, but with that offensive line, what are you going to do? But you still should be able to score a touchdown after 23 drives and you're averaging 3 yards a play. Pretty bad. Eberflus, I think, is going to have to go at the end of the year. This whole front office, it's just been, they're going to need to move on. I know they got a new, quarterback and everything, but this coaching staff is not working. This was a winnable situation here. There was no reason for the Bears to completely fall apart like this. And it's just been one of the worst teams in the NFL here. I think we can officially write the Bears season off. I think it's over, and it will be even more over after what happens on Sunday. I think the Packers win this one. It's 6 points, and I just think that coming off the bye week and the talent of this Green Bay team and Jordan Love, and he'll throw a pick or two because he's prone to do that, but he'll still be dominant. The Bears are just, I know they're at home, but there's just nothing going for them. The fans are ready to revolt right now against Eberflus and this entire coaching staff. Give me the Packers here, -6 to run roughshod over Chicago. The Jacksonville Jaguars and the Detroit Lions. The Lions are 12.5-point favorites. I double-checked. I believe that is the biggest spread this season. And how could it not be? Jacksonville is completely shot right now. They have a coach that should not be there. The Peterson experiment is over. They just had 143 yards against Minnesota. Mac Jones had 3 turnovers. They have a backup. Trevor Lawrence is out. And by the way, now I'm ready to apologize to Trevor Lawrence. It's clearly not all your fault, buddy. I know you have not been great, but it's not all your fault. This Jacksonville team is awful. There's so many injuries. There's no rhythm with this team. They're poorly coached. The penalty at the end of the game. What are you doing there? Just, I get it that you had to get the ball out some way, but why are you punching the guy after the play? That was stupid. And this is the game. They picked off Sam Darnold 3 times, and yet they only scored 7 points. Terrible performance from Jacksonville. And then the Lions. And you want to talk about the signature win, I feel like. Maybe it's too early for to say this because it's the regular season and, their playoff wins that are bigger, but the signature win of Dan Campbell's time here in Detroit. This was a gutty win. This was a gritty win. Jared Goff threw 5 picks, and they still won the game. They threw 5 interceptions, some truly horrendous picks, and it didn't matter. This team kept clawing their way back. They kept getting to Houston. Houston could not score to close it out. Jake Bates with a game-tying 58-yarder and a game-winning 52-yarder to win it for the Lions there. Just a great, coming back from 15 points down when your quarterback had 5 picks. That is on the road. That is just a truly, truly remarkable performance by this Lions team. And you see why they're the best team in the NFC. I don't see why who else can you put in there? San Francisco is too inconsistent right now. Philly, I got to see more from them. They're the best team in the NFC. If they play like this, they should go to the Super Bowl. We'll see if they're able to pull that off. But I think in this game, there should be no contest. Jacksonville, as I mentioned, they look completely dead. They are just dead on arrival right now, and the Lions have a jolt of energy to them, especially after that comeback win against Houston. Give me the Lions at home to crush the Jaguars. Give me Detroit -12.5. The Minnesota Vikings and the Tennessee Titans. The Vikings are 6.5-point favorites. Minnesota gets the win, but it was not pretty in the slightest. You had Sam Darnold. The magic has finally worn off. Yes, we can see J.J. McCarthy at the end next year when he comes back. Throwing 3 picks, 2 in the end zone. But it didn't matter. No touchdowns for Minnesota, but it didn't matter because the defense held the Jaguars to 1 scoring drive. They forced 3 fourth-quarter turnovers. Now, it is the Jaguars, but we've seen Minnesota's defense do things like that all season. And the kicks, Parker Romo, converting all 4 of his field goal attempts, replacing an injured Will Richard, and still converting every single one of his kicks. That was huge there. Minnesota gets the win in, again, what was just truly an awful, awful game to watch. A game that was a sore sight for the eyes. And Tennessee, I mean, what does that really say? They might not win another game. They're 2-7. Half of their remaining games are against teams with winning records. They're not favored in any game. I would imagine it's just an awful, awful mess there in Tennessee. They can't control the ball. They can't score really much. It's just bad. So Minnesota should have won this one. Now, I don't know if Sam Darnold's going to have another crappy performance, but either way, you should still win this one going away. Give me Minnesota -6 over Tennessee, as this Vikings team, while not firing on all cylinders right now, should be firing enough to get by a depleted Tennessee team. The Cleveland Browns and New Orleans Saints. The Saints are a 1.5 favorite. This is garbage game right here. Browns are coming off a bye. They suck. Jameis Winston, we thought he was good for a second. No, he's terrible. We're reminding us how bad he was. They had 57 total net yards at the half against the Chargers. Winston is now throwing 102 interceptions in his career. Truly a generational player. Saints, I know they got the win. I'm good on them for firing Dennis Allen, but there's nothing there for this team. Yes, they did beat Atlanta. So, good job by Rizzi, the interim coach. What do you want me to say about this game? This is a game that If they turn this game on red zone, I'm turning the TV off. I'm flipping the TV over. Give me the Saints -1.5. And here's a game that might be just as bad. Colts and Jets. The Jets are 3-point favorites. Why are the Jets 3-point favorites? The Jets are awful right now. Aaron Rodgers doesn't know what the hell is the problem with this team. This team is lifeless. This team has an interim head coach. This team is garbage right now. They're flawed in so many areas. They're not mentally tough. Their defense is a joke. Rodgers has completely self-combusted here. The defense just allowed so many huge drives against this Arizona team. And this Arizona team is not world beaters. They're an okay team. They're a good team. They might make the playoffs. But this is the team you should be able to beat handily. And, they were favored in this game. I made a terrible mistake picking them. But they just played awful. This whole Jets team from top to bottom is a disaster. And they're going to have to move on at the end. Clean house at the end of the year. And that includes the quarterback. But they're favored because the Colts are also terrible. Why? I was okay with the decision to go with Joe Flacco, I guess, because I'm like, well, he might give you the best chance to win. Not anymore. Flacco threw 3 picks. 4 total turnovers. He also lost a fumble. Why aren't you running the ball more? Why does Jonathan Taylor have 5 carries in the second half? Maybe that's why you got blown out in this game. Flacco from the pick 6 on early in this game, the Colts just never had it. So this is a game where this is, not a fun game to watch, not a fun game to obsess over, not a fun game to prognosticate. But I'm going to pick the Colts on the grounds of I'm just completely done with this Jets team. And I could also imagine Flacco having a not terrible game where the Colts are able to pull out a win. I hope so, because I'm sick of this Jets team and I want them to get just as high a draft pick as possible just to fix this mess. Rodgers, please move on. We don't want to see you anymore. Give me the Colts +3. The Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Ravens are 3.5-point favorites. Talk about an amazing performance from Lamar Jackson, but we talk about that every week. We talk about this. That's all this whole season. MV3 is what they're going to start calling him. An incredible performance. Another perfect passer rating. The fourth quarter, he was sensational with that comeback. He's on pace for 4,500 yards and a rush for 900 yards. The Baltimore offense is electric. Him and Henry is just the one. I just have one word in my notes. I have one word for it: unfair. It is unfair that these two are able to coexist on the same team and play this well. Tylan Wallace had a big game. Yes, the defense atrocious. Could not stop Cincinnati at all. Cincinnati was completely dominant on the offensive side. But you know what? They have the offense to be able to overcome that. And it's a fantastic team to watch there. An electrifying offense. And I expect the Ravens to win this one going away. Actually, not going away. I don't want to be that disrespectful to Pittsburgh. I just think the Ravens are I think they're the most electrifying team in the AFC. They're not the best because Kansas City keeps winning games, even though we don't know how. But they are an electrifying offense to watch. They're an incredible juggernaut. And it's going to be hard for Pittsburgh to win this one. Now, Pittsburgh pulled this off against Washington. Russell Wilson, I know the stats weren't there for him. He was kind of mediocre halfway through this game. He was 2 for 7 for 40 yards with a touchdown on and an interception on passes with 15+ air yards. At the half, he had only 195 yards. He was 14 for 28. Inconsistent in this outing. That was his entire game. So 14 for 28, 195 yards, 3 TDs, and a pick. Just an inconsistent out. This was his third start, his weakest, but they keep getting wins. He keeps leading them down the field. He had that huge touchdown at the end of the game. He had the great touchdown to Pickens as well. That was a great throw. The Williams touchdown. So he's had great moments, and he's not faltered. When Mike Tomlin made this choice, we were all questioning it, but the Steelers keep winning. And that is a testament to Tomlin. It's a testament to the Steelers team. Russell, since debuting with the Steelers, 737 yards, 7 total TDs, 1 pick, 105.86 passer rating, and a 3-0 record. All of that is great. All of that is exciting. All of that is wonderful. But this Ravens team, as I mentioned, arguably the best offense in the NFL, the most dynamic team to watch in the AFC. And even though it's on the road, and even though Russ is playing good, I think this Baltimore team is going to continue to wreak havoc on the AFC and anyone that stands in their way. Give me the Ravens -3.5. Give me another great performance from Lamar and Henry, and give me this Ravens team winning this one over Pittsburgh. The Atlanta Falcons and the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are a 1.5-point favorite. Awful loss for Atlanta, as this team had chances to win this one, but Younghoe Koo went 1 for 4 on field goal attempts, one that was blocked, another tying kick that hit the post. He was anemic in this game. Kirk Cousins wasn't able to pull out any magic in this game. There was some terrible clock management there at the end. This team really struggles coming out of the gate in the first half. They had 26 yards of offense in the first quarter against New Orleans. They're just and Kamara, they couldn't stop Alvin Kamara at all. He had 109 yards in the game. I mean, it is Alvin Kamara, but still, you you'd want to see. That was the game plan going in. They couldn't stop them at all. So concerns there for Atlanta. You don't have to worry about that with Denver. This Denver team, man, they're a weird one. They're a weird bunch. I don't know if they're great, but they keep winning. They keep pulling off wins. They keep figuring out ways to get it done. And they're still in the lead right now for the postseason. They're still right now. They have a playoff spot. If the season would end right now, the Broncos would be in the playoffs. So that is a testament to them. But they had a chance to gain on that and to continue to grow their and increase their chances of getting into the postseason, and they couldn't do it. Heartbreaking loss against Kansas City. You had the game right there. Your defense stopped Mahomes and company for most part of the game. You sacked Mahomes 1 and 3 times. You led them down the field to end the game, and the kick is blocked. Chiefs, man. Chiefs just find a way to win. That is what champions do in the most improbable of circumstances. So, looking at this one here, I think Atlanta is a better team. And I know that this has been an incredible effort by Denver to continue to play better than what I think they can be, or to play above their talent. Great job by Sean Payton, even though I hate to say it. But I'm going to take Atlanta on this spot. I'm going to take the Falcons here. I think that Cousins has had a really good year. Not yesterday, but he's had a really good year. The offense has got a lot of good pieces to them. And I think in this spot, they're going to upset Denver against, and I don't think Denver's making the playoffs. I think Cincinnati is. So if Cincinnati's going to make the playoffs, they're going to need to start getting off some wins, and Denver's going to have to lose some games. And so I expect that this is going to be one of those games where that happens. Give me the Falcons plus 1.5 to pull off the upset over Denver. The Seattle Seahawks and the San Francisco 49ers. The Niners, 6.5 point favorites. Seahawks coming off a bye and also coming off an awful loss to the Rams, losing that in overtime. That was a very winnable game, especially when you had Geno marching them down the field to score a touchdown, and then the Rams just come right back. Huge touchdown there to win it. Not ready to give up on Seattle, although I will say if they lose this game, then I think their season is over. San Francisco battled it out against Tampa, got the win. Pearsall, what a great story, man. We all heard about him getting shot at, or whatever it was, shot or stabbed at, whatever it was. I can't remember what the exact story was. Apologies, not knowing in advance. But we were worried. Was he going to go out there and play? He comes back, he plays, he scores his first touchdown today. Just an awesome story. Purdy had one of his best games. For those of you who are ready to crap on Brock Purdy again, we'd like to read those apologies there because, boy, hold your horses. He played terrific today. He had a great touchdown to Kittle. Jennings had a great game. Moody really struggled throughout most of this game. He missed 3 kicks, but he would not miss a fourth. Comes through. I know he's returning from an ankle injury, but he still missed a bunch of kicks. But he was able to get the game winner and keep San Francisco on top there in the NFC. Keep them afloat. And it was also great seeing McCaffrey back. 107 scrimmage yards from him. And he's going to get better, especially with all the time off he's had. He's going to get better and better as the season goes along. So I think he's only going to get more fierce. He's only going to get more dominant. I think that will show itself here in this game. Another great game for McCaffrey, Purdy, Moody, Jennings. The San Francisco team is going to be just. I'm not saying that Seattle's going to get blown out in this game, but I think it'll be enough for San Francisco to get the 6.5 point win. And again, I think if that happens, I think Seattle will be out because I don't see where their plan is, where their playoff scenario is going forward. I don't see where their path is. But whatever happens, we'll see. And I think hopefully it's going to be a fun divisional game. But in the end, San Francisco wins it. Give me the Niners minus 6.5 over Seattle. This is the game of the week. This is the game that all of us are going to be talking about. All of us are going to be hyping up. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills. The Chiefs are 2.5 point favorites. This rivalry we know about. We know what happened last year in the regular season when these two teams met. We know what happened last year in the postseason when these two teams met. The Bills have not been able to get over the Kansas City hump. They've not been able to slay the dragon. And even if they win today, even if they win next week, this will not be slaying the dragon. Slaying the dragon will have to come in the postseason. Will that happen? Remains to be seen. But Kansas City cannot keep getting away with this. This might be. Well, the 2013 Chiefs team was also not great, but this is up there for one of the worst 9-0 teams. They have not had one great win, I feel like, all season. Look through their wins. I feel like they have not had one convincing win, one dominant win all year. And yet they keep getting bailed out. Their offense is pretty much non-existent. Kelsey finally had a touchdown here. They're letting Denver hang around. Denver marches down the field. And then the Chiefs get a blocked kick. A blocked field goal to win the game. Truly amazing. Truly, how often can you get away with not playing your best football? This is a team that is just laughing at you. They're not even at full speed. Mahomes isn't throwing the deep ball very well anymore. This team is just, and yet it's because their defense is playing out of this world, and yet their offense is talented enough where they will do just enough, even when they're barely trying, to win these games. And so we saw it here again. Pulling off a unbelievable win against Buffalo or Denver. And I will say, if they win this game, they pretty much have a lock on the 1 seed. Buffalo, another team that won a game, even though it was not all that impressive. Allen did have 2 picks today, but they got it going eventually. It was a sloppy game for the Bills. They did force 4 takeaways against the Colts, which was something impressive. Even though Joe Flacco was not at his best, but they could still. It took them too long to eventually get things going. Not the prettiest. The run defense had a lot of issues there in that front, but still won the game. Josh Allen, 57th rushing touchdown. He's tied now with OJ for the second most in Bills history, and let's hope that that's the only comparison that can be made between Josh Allen and OJ Simpson. You know what? Even though, again, this was not the most impressive Bills victory, Taron Johnson also shout out to him with the pick 6. Not the most prettiest Bills victory. Not the most exciting. Damn it, I'm going with the Bills. I'm rolling with Buffalo. I'm rolling with this team. Somebody's got to beat this Chiefs team. I'm sorry, I just can't see this team going 17-0. Somebody's got to stop them. Why not this Bills? Why not at home? You know that crowd base is. You know that crowd is going to be revved up. You know the fans are going to be absolutely just so loud and crazy. Especially if Taylor's there, they're going to have somebody to mock, somebody to make fun of throughout the entire game. They're going to be. They want to step on this Chiefs team, and I think we're going to see that here in this game. Bills won last year in the regular season against Kansas City, and that was on the road. Why not at home? Give me the Bills plus 2.5 over Kansas City in this highly anticipated matchup of AFC Titans. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are 2-point favorites. If you're a Bengals fan, that's a tough one to swallow. Losing that game on a day where Burrow and Chase were the best versions of themselves. Your defense could not in any way stop Lamar Jackson. I'm always somebody who's going to be partial to take the extra point. I know it makes me old school. I get it though, why Zach Taylor went for 2 there, because, all right, if you get the coin flip, it's a 50-50, and if you lose that, the game's over because you're not going to be able to stop Lamar. So I understand, let's go for the 2 and let's go for it now. But there's also a scenario in which you kick the extra point, you get the coin toss, and you win the game. So it's all this nitpicking. You're mad at Zach Taylor because he didn't win the game. That's really it. You don't complain about the going for 2 if it doesn't work, but he goes for 2, or if it does work. You went for 2, it didn't work, and now you complain about it. Just a crushing collapse. They were up 14 points halfway through the third, and they could not they could not close the deal. Chargers, in the meanwhile, legitimate playoff contenders. This Chargers team is. They keep winning. They're 6-3. They've eclipsed their wins from last year. Herbert had a rushing touchdown in this game. 32 rushes, 4 touchdowns. He set the Chargers record for the most career rushing yards by a quarterback. And this defense really went all out. 7 sacks, and just really locked down on that Tennessee team. I'm going to take the Bengals here on the road. I think the Bengals are a better team. I know that you are what your record says you are, but something about this Bengals team, they lose in weird ways, and I just still believe in the talent of this offense. I just think that they're going to be able to pull this one. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. Despite all the issues that they've had, despite all the problems, I still think this team is going to make the playoffs, and I think that will show itself here in this game in LA. Give me the Bengals plus 2. Give me that another. Yes, the defense, I get it. It's an issue. But the Cincinnati offense is more than capable of carrying it. Give me the Bengals plus 2. Pulling off the win against the Chargers on Sunday night. The Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys. The Texans are 6.5-point favorites. This is on Monday Night Football. This is going to be an interesting game to put on Monday Night Football. I hope there's something else to watch. The Texans are a good team, at least I think. How does this team? This is a disappointing Texans team right now. Yes, their offensive line bad. C.J. Stroud continues to take a step back. That interception that he threw into the red zone. I mean, that's a surefire touchdown, and he just whiffed on that one. And yeah, just bad game for the Texans. Having a 15-point lead and you can't close the deal. You had the missed kick there. The inability to score points late in this game fueled the Lions' comeback. Second half possession for the Texans. Interception, punt, missed field goal. That's how you lose. You had a chance to close the deal. You had a chance to shut them down. And they've already had problems. They've only averaged 9 points in the second half all season. This year, 0 points. So just a horrendous game, and it makes you really concerned about the Texans going forward. But they should win this one. If you lose this one, now we have issues. Where do I start with the issues for the Dallas? What do I say? This is a truly bad football team. And you know what? With Dak, they're bad. Without Dak, they're awful. You had, whether it was Cooper Rush or Trey Lance, 5 fumbles in this game. 5 fumbles, or was it 4 turnovers in the pick? Whatever it was, 5 turnovers at least for this Cowboys team. They were a joke. They were a joke in this game. You have Zeke with that terrible fumble. You had the terrible picks in this game. You had the Eagles just run roughshod. You had Jerry Jones after the game complaining about the sun. I mean, this is a team that has completely lost his way. This team is dead, completely and utterly dead. There's no light at the end of the tunnel for this Cowboys team. The only light that they have is the next season. Just a bad team. And they were bad before this, but they've really hit rock bottom now, and it's only going to get worse. On Monday Night Football, give me the Texans here. I get it. I know the Texans have their issues, and I know they have their problems. If you can't win this game, what are you doing? You got to be able to come through. This is going to be the perfect game for C.J. Stroud and company to bounce back in a big way and get back on the right track. Give me the Texans minus 6.5 over a depleted, disgusting, dead Dallas team. That's it for now, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to make sure you subscribe down below. I'll be back tomorrow with predictions for Raiders, Dolphins, and Rams, Patriots. I will wait until after the Monday night game to make my predictions on those games, and I want to see what the lines are for those games after the Monday night game. See you then. Take care, and God bless.